Have you all completed the assignments, children? The most important assignment was for you to open the atlas and identify whatever we have learnt in Asia till now. Have you done that? Then it will become very easy. Please keep your atlas handy so that you can use it when we are learning the lesson. Now let's discuss the answers. I'm sure you'd have all got it. It was pretty easy. Anyway, let's look at the answers. The first activity was for you to look at the figure and identify where Asia is located. Now you had two options, almost wholly in the northern hemisphere, almost wholly in the southern hemisphere. It's quite clear, isn't it, children? It is located in the northern hemisphere. The next activity was for you to again observe from the pictures. Asia is separated from Europe by the physical divisions given in the four figures. You had to identify and write them. I'm sure you have all written. I'm sure. Very good, children. Anyway, just look at the answers. Ural Mountains, Caucasus Mountains, Caspian Sea, and Black Sea. This was your third activity. You had to look at the map and write the physical settings of Asia. Have you all filled the question marks? Yes, children. To the north you have Arctic Ocean. To the south you have Indian Ocean. To the east you have Pacific Ocean. And to the west you have Europe. Very good. Now you know what are the physical settings of Asia. You had a fill in the blanks to do, remember? Let's look at the answers. The first one, the world's largest continent is Asia. Second, Asia is known as the land of contrast. Third, the most important latitude which passes through Arabia and India is Tropic of Cancer. Fourth, Europe and Asia together is called Eurasia. Fifth, there are about 48 countries in Asia. Sixth, Asia has 5 regional divisions. Very good, children. You have all written the answers correctly. Before we start with today's class, why don't we have a small recap as to what we have learned in the last class? We learned about the different continents and how Asia is the largest of all continents. We also learned that Asia is a land of contrasts. We learned the location, that is latitudinally and longitudinally, where Asia is located. Also that it is in the northern hemisphere. We learned the extent of Asia. We learned the physical setting. It is bordered by which ocean in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west. Europe and Asia together is called Eurasia. We also learned the 5 regional divisions of Asia. Have you gone through your atlases and seen all the places, children? Keep your atlas handy. Let's start with today's class. In today's class, we are going to learn about the physiography of Asia. What does the term physiography mean, children? It is just the physical geography or the study of the different kinds of landscapes. We have already learned last year when we were learning India physical of the different landscapes, right, children? You have heard about deserts, plains, plateaus, lowlands, highlands, islands, and so on. Can somebody tell me what is a lowland? A lowland is a place which is relatively lower in its altitude, that is from the sea level. An upland is quite elevated place and mostly has lots of peaks and mountains. What's a plateau? A plateau is a flat surface which resembles something like a table because it has steep sides. That's why we call the plateaus as tablelands. What about a plain? A plain is a flat, sweeping landmass which doesn't have much difference, that you don't have any elevations and so on. Mostly some of the plains are lowlands only. Then what about islands? I think we all know. An island is a piece of land which is surrounded by water. And what do you call those small, small islands? We call them as islets. Now that you've understood what the different terms mean, let us now look into the physiography of Asia. Now, as you can see in the screen, Asia has 5 physical divisions. What are the physical divisions? The northwestern lowlands, the central highlands, the southern plateaus, the great plains of rivers, and the island groups. Can you repeat, children? The northwestern lowlands, the central highlands, the southern plateaus, the great plains of rivers, and the island groups. Now that we have learnt what these terms mean, it is very easy for you to identify. Okay, children? Let's learn each and every physical division one by one. Now we will take up the first physiographical feature, the northwestern lowlands. Children, see, I have drawn some lines in this map. Can you see that? Yes, this particular area, northwestern lowlands, is falling in this particular region. That is, towards the east you have Bering Strait. Can you see the written Bering Strait near that North America portion? Yes, from Bering Strait to your east, to Caspian Sea to your west, and Arctic Ocean towards your north, and Central Highlands towards your south. Identify that, children. Yeah, can you see to your west you have Bering Strait? You can see that the tip is towards your Caspian Sea. The southern portion are the central uplands, and the northern portion is the Arctic Ocean. Now, this particular region within these physical features is known as the northwestern lowlands. It is almost like a triangle, isn't it, children? That is why they are also known as triangular lowlands. And since Siberia is the main country over there, we call them as Siberian plain. So, what is the extent, children? Bering Sea, Bering Strait to your east, Caspian Sea to your west, Arctic Ocean in the north, central uplands to the south. It is also known as the lowlands, that is triangular lowlands. And it is also called as the Siberian plains. Now children, you can see those red dancing arrows, right? Why have I put those arrows? You can see that they are pointing to rivers. There are 3 main rivers in this Siberian plain called the Lena, the Ob, and the Ensi. Can you identify them? The Ob, the Ensi, and the Lena. and the entire northwestern portion is tilted towards the Arctic Ocean. So all these rivers flow into the Arctic Ocean. Can you see them, children? So what are the three main rivers over here? The Lena, the Ob and the Yensi. And what is this area called as the Siberian Plain? Take your own atlas and please identify them, children. Let us take the next physical division, the Central Highlands. As we have already learnt, highlands are elevated areas above the sea level, and usually they are comprising of mountain ranges and mountains. Here you can see that the highlands are extending from Asia Minor to one side to the Bering Strait. Almost a very large portion falls under the Central Highlands and they form the second greatest physical division. And you also know they are just below the northwestern lowlands. Now, before we continue, just look at that red arrow, children. It is pointing to one particular place. That is known as the Palmer knot. What is a knot? When you tie two ropes, you get a knot. Same way, in this Palmer knot, there are lots of mountain ranges which look like tied up ropes. And from here, the mountain ranges are radiating to the eastern side and to the western side. You can see those dark markings which show mountain ranges. So from which place do the mountain ranges radiate? Palmer knot. Now you can see towards the eastern and to the western. Let us first take up the eastern side ranges, which include the Himalayas, the Kunlun, the Karakoram, the Tain Shan, the Atlai, the Sayan, Yablonovi, the Kingan and the Stanovi. These are the different mountain ranges which are radiating from the eastern side of the Palmer knot. I repeat, children, the Himalayas, the Kunlun, the Karakoram, the Tain Shan, the Altai, the Sayan, the Yablonovi, the Kingan and the Stanovi. You don't have to identify all these mountains, but at least try to identify the Himalayas, the Kunlun and the Karakoram, which are quite clear. You can take your own atlas and identify in that. Now let us take up to the western side. The western side you have Hindu Kush, the Sulaimans, the Kirtars, the Elbers, the Zagros, the Caucasus, the Pontine and the Taurus mountains. What are the western side ranges? I repeat again. You have the Hindu Kush, the Sulaiman, the Kirtars, the Elbers, the Zagros, the Caucasus, the Pontine and the Taurus mountains. Again, you try to identify any three towards your western side. Now, of all these mountains, the Himalayas are the loftiest of the mountains, and you have the highest peak in the world, Mount Everest in the Himalayas. Which is the highest peak, children? Mount Everest. Now we have so many mountain ranges. So naturally you will have a lot of plateaus and valleys between them. What are plateaus? They are tablelands. There are many plateaus in this particular region. You have the Tibetan plateau, the Mongolian plateau, the Iranian plateau, the Anatolian plateau and so on, of which the highest plateau is Tibet. So what is Tibet called? Because it is the highest plateau, it is known as the roof of the world. Tell me, children, which is known as the roof of the world? Tibet. Which is the highest peak in the world? Mount Everest. From which portion do mountain ranges radiate to the eastern and the western side in the central highlands? Yes, Palmer Knot. And you can see these mountain ranges have a lot of ice caps, isn't it, children? So they are the home of many rivers because most of the rivers originate here and they flow down into the other regions. Children, before we move on to the next division, let us just learn a new phenomena known as the fold mountains. There you can see on the screen two land masses are colliding or dashing against each other. When they dash, only two kind of activities can take place. The extra portion may go up or they may go low. But when the extra portions go up, they become mountain ranges. Can you see that on the screen? Two land masses are colliding and a little bit of the land gets elevated up in form of mountain ranges. These kinds of mountains are known as fold mountains and our Himalayas is one such fold mountain. So which is the fold mountain in Asia? Himalayas. The next physiographic feature of Asia is the southern plateaus. We already learnt what plateaus are. So let us see what are the plateaus which are lying in the southern portion of Asia. First of all, we should learn that they are all old plateaus which are made of hard crystalline rocks. You can see some of the rocks on the screen. These plateaus are made of such kind of rocks. Now, they comprise the plateau of Arabia, the Deccan Plateau of India, and the plateau of Yunnan of Indochina, and Shan Plateau of Myanmar. Now, the plateau of Arabia occupies the entire Arabian Peninsula and it's a desert. Can you see on the left side corner? The Arabian Desert, that is a plateau of Arabia. Now, about Indian Deccan Plateau, we have already learnt in our last year. It occupies a large part of Indian peninsula and it lies between the central mountains, the western Ghats and eastern Ghats. And we also learnt it in the last year that it slopes to the east and most of the rivers flow to the east. Now, the Yunnan Plateau is situated in the southwest of China. Can you see that box, the triangle which is there? That is the Yunnan Plateau. It's a high block containing of all limestone. The Shan Plateau is a continuation of this Yunnan Plateau. So, what are the different plateaus of the southern plateau region? We have the Plateau of Arabia, the Deccan Plateau in India, Plateau of Yunnan which is there in Indochina, and the Shan Plateau which is also known as the Myanmar. The next is the Great Plains of Rivers. Now, this region consists of plains of the different rivers of Asia which will either flow into the Indian Ocean or into the Pacific Ocean. Now, we have already learnt when we were learning the central uplands that most of the rivers which flow in Asia are originating in the central highlands. Now, these river plains are very fertile because of the deposition of, yes, alluvium soil. Now, what are the different major plains? Let us see. The Tigris and Euphrates plains in Syria and Iraq, which you can see to the left corner. Then you have the Indo-Gangetic plain in India and Pakistan. Can you see that, children, to your right corner? The Irrawaddy plain in Myanmar, the Meenam and Mekong in Indochina, the Sea Kiang, the Yangtze Kiang, and Huanghe plains in China. Shall I read them again, children? The Tigris Euphrates in Syria and Iraq, the Indo-Gangetic plain in China and Pakistan, the Irrawaddy plain in Myanmar, the Mekong and Meenam in Indochina, the Sikiang, the Yangtze Kiang and Huanghe plains in China. Now, since all these plains have a lot of rivers, they are very fertile, and fertility leads to overpopulation. So, all these places are densely populated. Children, regarding these rivers, we will learn again when we are learning about the water resources of Asia. The next is the island groups. We know that Asia is surrounded by water on three sides, oceans. So naturally there are a lot of islands. There are numerous islands are found in the Southeast Asian and the Pacific coast of the continent. Let us look at some of these islands. Before that, let us learn what are festoons, children. Do you know what festoons are? Festoons are nothing but group of islands which join together. So there are many festoons in Asia and they enclose 5 seas. The Sea of Okhotsk, the Sea of Japan, the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea and the South China Sea. These are the 5 seas in which you can see all these island groups. I repeat, the Sea of Okhotsk, the Sea of Japan, the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea and the South China Sea. Now some of these island festoons are, you have the Kuril Islands, the Japanese Islands, the Lachu Islands, the Borneo and Philippine Islands. Can you see, children, on the screen? The Kuril Islands, the Japanese Islands, the Lachu Islands and the Borneo and Philippines Islands. Now these islands are all of volcanic origin. That means they are all created because of volcanic activity from the ocean. And they have very fertile soil, deep valleys and steep peaks among them. So they are beautiful places for tourist attraction. Children, we have completed today's class. Please take out your classwork and write these points. The subheading is Physiography of Asia. Asia is divided into 5 major physical divisions. The northwestern lowlands, the central highlands, the southern plateaus, the great plains of rivers, the island groups. The northwestern lowlands, the central highlands, the southern plateaus, the great plains of rivers, the island groups. Some more points to remember, children. The northwestern lowlands, that's a subheading. Under them, please write the points. They extend from Bering Strait to the Caspian Sea. They are between the Arctic Ocean and the Central Highlands. They are a vast triangular lowlands known as Siberian Plains. This plain is crossed by the rivers, the Lena, the Ob and the Yenisei. They flow northwards into the Arctic Ocean. Please write it in points, children. Some more points to remember, children. The Central Highlands, the subheading, and points under that. The mountain ranges of Central Asia is known as Central Highlands. Various mountain ranges radiate from the Palmer Knot in all the directions. The eastern ranges include the Himalayas, the Kunlun, the Karakoram, the Altai, etc. Children, I have given you only few mountain ranges here. You please write only that much. The western ranges comprise of the Hindu Kush, the Sulaimans, the Elburz, the Caucasus, and the Taurus mountains. The Himalayas are the loftiest mountains in the world. Mount Everest in the Himalayas is the highest peak in the world. There are many plateaus in between mountain ranges. Examples are Tibet, Mongolia, Iran, Anatolia. Tibet is the highest plateau in the world and is called Roof of the World. Many rivers of Asia originate in these highlands. Some more points, children. Southern plateaus. They are the old plateaus made of hard crystalline rocks. They comprise the plateau of Arabia, the Deccan Plateau within brackets India, and the plateau of Yunnan within brackets Indochina, and Shan Plateau right within brackets Myanmar. The plateau of Arabia occupies the entire Arabian Peninsula. The Deccan Plateau occupies a large part of the Indian Peninsula. It slopes to the east and most of its rivers flow in that direction. The Yunnan Plateau is situated southwest of China, consisting of limestone. The Shan Plateau is the continuation of Yunnan Plateau. Some more points. The Great Plains of Rivers. This region consists of plains of the rivers of Asia which either flow into the Indian Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. They form fertile plains by depositing alluvium. The major plains are Tigris Euphrates in Syria and Iraq, Indo-Gangetic Plain in India and Pakistan, the Irrawaddy Plain in Myanmar, the Meenam and the Mekong in Indochina, the Xinjiang and the Yangtze Kiang and Huanghe Plains in China. These plains are densely populated. Some more points, children. The island groups. Numerous islands are found in Southeast Asia and Pacific coast of the continent. They are arranged in festoons or arcs. They enclose 5 seas: the Sea of Okhotsk, the Sea of Japan, the Yellow Sea, the East China Sea, and the South China Sea. The island festoons are the Kuril Islands, the Japanese Islands, the Lachu Islands, the Borneo and Philippines Islands. These islands are of volcanic origin and have fertile soil, deep valleys, and steep conical peaks. When we were talking about festoons, the islands are also arranged in arc forms. That is why they are known as festoons or arcs. Let us do an assignment, children. Fill in the blanks. First one, Asia can be divided into dash major physical divisions. Second, the vast triangular lowlands are known as the dash plains. Third, the mountain ranges of Central Asia are called dash. Fourth, the highest peak in the world is dash. Fifth, the highest plateau of the world is dash. Sixth, the southern plateau are made of hard dash rocks. Seventh, the dash plateau occupies most of South India. Eighth, the island groups of Asia enclose dash seas. Another assignment, children, answer the following questions. The first one, list the three rivers which flow in the northwestern lowlands of Asia. Second, from where do the mountain ranges radiate to the west and east in the central highlands of Asia? Third, name the plateau which is called the roof of the world. Fourth, which is the fertile plain of North India? Fifth, how many island festoons are there in Asia? The answers to the assignments will be discussed in the next class. Thank you, children.